UFC Fight Night Mexico, Moreno versus Erceg, full card breakdown, and predictions, boys. We're going to get straight into it. This is a pretty good card, pretty solid fight night. I'm glad that we've got some fight nights with crowds back to back, London and now Mexico. It's nice to see, man. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to break down the entire card, starting with the early prelim opener of, if I can get to it, Markel Medeiros versus Austin Hubbard is the opener. I don't know why this thing will not open, but Markel Medeiros is on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. Austin Hubbard has had an iffy career coming off that loss, man, recently by split decision. It was a very close fight. Austin Hubbard's been kind of all over the place. He has had a very iffy career. When I did my quick picks, I chose Markel Medeiros. I do believe, he's got the momentum. He's younger. He's faster. But I do think this will be a close fight. I think this is going to be a really close fight. Markel Medeiros is good on the feet. He's good. He can take it to the ground as well. He can mix up the wrestling, the offensive wrestling. But Austin Hubbard's got good takedown defense, and he can reverse positions very well. I do think Austin Hubbard will be the bigger guy. I think he'll be the more physically imposing guy. But Markel Medeiros is very fast, very quick on his feet. He had a very close decision last time out, which could have arguably been a split decision win for him, but it was a very close fight. Austin Hubbard also had a close fight, and I think this will be also a close fight. Both these guys know how to go point scoring. They know how to go tap for tap, trying to get their jabs going, trying to get their strikes going to try to win in the judge's eyes. Markel Medeiros does have more finishing capabilities, but Austin Hubbard's so tough. He's very tough, very resilient. I don't think he's going to get finished in this fight. I think it will go the distance, and I think it's going to be very close. I am going to lean Austin Hubbard to score on the points, man. I think he could get this first underdog win of the card, man. I think he's gonna open it up with a split decision or maybe a unanimous decision, but I think it's gonna be a close fight. Markel is tough, but I think Austin Hubbard's gonna land the better shots, and his cardio is gonna be better. We're at elevation here. Austin Hubbard trains at elevation. I think he is gonna be able to push the pace in the second and the third round and score those rounds for him. So I am gonna go Austin Hubbard by decision, maybe split or unanimous decision for Austin Hubbard to start off this card. Then we move on. Jamal Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. There we go. We can open it. Jamal Emmers has had an iffy career as well, ups and downs, but he's quite good. He is quite good. He's coming off that loss against Nate Landwehr where he dropped him. He almost finished Landwehr and fumbled the finish. He fumbled the finish, let him recover, and then Nate Landwehr finished him on the feet and dropped him and then finished him on the ground. But Jamal Emmers, he has been up and down, win and then loss, and win and loss, and win and loss. But I think this should be a win for Jamal Emmers. Early pick, I went with Gabriel Miranda. Watching Miranda's tape, man, it's just sad. This guy literally jumps to his back. He just jumps guard when he's close up with you. And if he jumps guard, Jamal Emmers is going to close that. He is going to go to the ground with him, and he will land heavy, devastating ground and pound. There's not much to break down here. Gabriel Miranda is not defensively sound. He's got great BJJ, don't get me wrong, but he should be fighting in a BJJ tournament, not in the UFC where your hands and your feet and your knees and elbows are involved. He's just too weak for it. He's too soft for it. I think Jamal Emmers will get it done by KO. So I'm going to go Jamal Emmers by KO in round 1 or round 2. We move on. Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel, man. This fight is going to be one of the more boring fights on the card. I'm not too excited for this one, but Rafa Garcia is coming off that loss to Grant Dawson, which is a fair loss, man. Grant Dawson is really good, but he did get beat up bad. Vince Pichel is coming off of a couple losses by decision. This dude's tough. Pichel is 42 years old at lightweight. He is very, very tough, very resilient, but he is 42 years old at lightweight. I think Rafa Garcia is going to land the better shots. I think he's going to be pushing the pace. Vince Pichel's, the only thing that I can see him getting going is wrestling. But I do believe that Rafa Garcia can defensively wrestle and stay on the feet against Vince Pichel. Vince Pichel will have to wrestle for the whole fight to really win this and score the decision. I think Rafa Garcia is going to land the better shots, piece him up on the feet, and get a unanimous decision in Mexico, man. So I'm going to go Rafa Garcia by unanimous decision. We move on. Lupi Godinez versus Julia Palastri. I was pretty high on Lupi Godinez a little while ago. She's on a couple loss streak, 2 loss streak, and she looked like her IQ is all the way down here. It went from up here to all the way down here. I don't know if she's got brain damage. I'm gonna be honest, but her IQ is very, very questionable. She makes horrible decisions. She's like the woman Michael Chandler. All right, she makes horrible decisions. It's hard to pick her, but I do think skill for skill, she's better than Julia Palastri. On the feet, she is going to have that overhand right. Her jab is very nice. She's able to bounce in and out. She's going to be faster than Julia Palastri. She's also adjusted to the elevation in Mexico, where Julia Palastri is not. I do think she's going to have the better gas tank, but the IQ is always questionable, right? You can't pick somebody that has a stupid IQ and doesn't know what they're doing and makes a dumb decision in there, right? When you're in a fight, you can't be making dumb IQ decisions. Like, it's tough to pick her, but I am going to go with Lupi Godinez because I do believe she is due and she is going to play this one smart. I hope she plays this one smart. In her hometown, she better play this one smart against Julia Palastri. Palastri's tough. She comes at you. She throws hands. But Lupi Godinez, I do trust she will counter and she will have that right hook going all night. I think she will score a unanimous decision fairly easily. But obviously, I wouldn't trust her decision making. But we're gonna trust her decision making in this one. We're gonna go Lupi Godinez decision. We move on though. Christian Rodriguez, the prospect killer, man, versus Melquizael Costa. I went with Costa in my quick picks. I do think this is going to be really close. I do think it will be really close. And I'm going to stay with Costa, but I'm going to be honest, this is kind of a pick 'em. It should be a pick 'em, honestly. Christian Rodriguez, don't get me wrong, very good on the feet. Very good. He's proved that. He's got good takedown defense. He's shut down all these prospects. Isaac Dolgarian, Cameron Saman. Even the guy on the card, Raul Rosas Jr., Austin Bashi recently. He shuts down these prospects. But the one thing that's missing in his game is his ground game. His submission defense, his wrestling is not the best. Honestly, he got taken down by Austin Bashi a bunch. He's been taken down by Julian Erosa. He got guillotine. Melquizael Costa has a beautiful guillotine. I'm solely making this pick off the fact that I believe Costa can wrap up a guillotine, can wrap up a choke when they do go to the ground, because I think this will eventually go to the ground. Christian Rodriguez likes to crash in. He is going to push you up against the cage, and Costa will. I do see Costa getting a takedown off the fence and getting a guillotine on Christian Rodriguez. So I'm going to go Melquizael Costa to get a submission over Christian Rodriguez in late round 2, early round 3, honestly. We're going to move on, though. Jose Daniel Medina versus Atiba Gauthier. I'm really excited to see how this fight plays out, man. The UFC is doing a test. Granite chin on Jose Daniel Medina versus Atiba Gauthier's Francis Ngannou looking power at middleweight. This dude puts people to sleep in his Dana White Contender Series matchup. He put the dude to sleep. Big overhand, drops him, and then big hammer fist, finished him on the ground. And Jose Daniel Medina, if you watched the Zachary Reese fight. When he fought Reese, man, he ate every single shot that Reese had to throw at him, everything that he had. And he just kept pushing forward. He's one of those Mexican dudes that has an absolute granite chin. This dude is hard to finish. Body shots, head shots, leg shots, everything. Literally, Zachary Reese was gassing out from the amount of pressure he was putting on Medina, and he was crumbling him, but he couldn't finish Jose Daniel Medina. So the question is, will Atiba Gauthier be able to do the same thing? I do think he will, but I think it's going to be really tough because Jose Daniel Medina, he's got an iron chin, but if Atiba Gauthier mixes it up to the body really well, he could hurt him with the body shots. Zachary Reese hurt him with the body shots, but Gauthier does headhunt, so it will be interesting to see. I think this is it should be Atiba Gauthier, right? But if Gauthier does gas out, we haven't really seen him in round 3. If he gasses out round 3, that'll be Daniel Medina's best shot. I am going to go Atiba Gauthier, though, to get the finish in round 1 or round 2. I think round 2 he'll get it done. It will be close. I think he'll just have too much pressure to be too physically imposing. Jose Daniel Medina is much smaller than Atiba Gauthier. Gauthier should arguably be a light heavyweight. So I'm going to go Atiba Gauthier, round 2 TKO. But it will be interesting to see how Jose Daniel Medina's chin faces against an Francis Ngannou looking man with Francis Ngannou looking power, man. We will move on to the next fight. Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. Why is CJ Vergara still in the UFC, man? I know he's fought some tough competition. Tatsuro Taira, Asu Almabayev, and now Ramazan Temirov. He's fought some tough competition, but I just don't think he should be in the UFC. I don't think he's UFC ready. Don't think he's UFC capable. Edgar Chairez is much younger. He's 29 years old. CJ Vergara is 36, I think, now. Edgar Chairez, faster. He had a close fight with Joshua Van. Injured him at moments, and he does have that finishing ability on the ground. He does have good submissions. I think he will injure Vergara at moments, and he will be outstriking him. And if it goes to the ground, I think he can sub CJ Vergara. So I'm going to go Edgar Chairez by submission, man, in round 2 or round 3. I think it'll go a decent amount of time. CJ Vergara is tough. He's got good cardio. He'll be coming at you, but he just doesn't have the dangerous, finishing ability that you need to have in the UFC. He doesn't have any finishing ability. His only finish was when he was running laps around the octagon and then got a lucky finish, man, by gassing out his opponent from sprinting. So I don't see CJ Vergara having a path to victory. I'm going to go Edgar Chairez by submission in round 2. We move on to the main card. Opening the main card, we got Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Not a bad fight. Kevin Borjas has been unlucky in the UFC to say the least, and Ronaldo Rodriguez on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. So Rodriguez has 2 wins, Kevin Boras 2 losses, but the odds are close, and I think this will be a close fight. Rodriguez is very good on the ground, very scrappy. He's got that granite chin. Most of the Mexicans do. He eats shots like crazy. I mean, in his Ode Osborne fight, he got cracked. This dude got cracked. He got put in an arm or in a leg triangle. He almost got subbed. He almost got knocked out, and he just kept coming forward, man. This guy's like a zombie, and his chin is insane, right? He just very durable, very scrappy. Kevin Borjas on the other side, very good striker, can crack as well. He's got power in his hands. He can mix it up well, but as we saw, he got knocked out by leg kicks not that long ago. His legs were compromised really bad, got dropped and got finished on the ground. Kevin Boras, we haven't been able to see too much of what he can do, but I do believe his striking is very good. I think he'll be able to outstrike Ronaldo Rodriguez, but I do think Rodriguez will just be able to not plot armor his way through, but just have that chin, have that durability, have that cardio to just push the pace and score on the judges' scorecard. I think it's going to be close. I think this is going to be another close decision like Ronaldo Rodriguez had against Ode Osborne, where, it could have arguably been a split decision. So I'm going to go Rodriguez by decision. I think it's going to be close, but I think he's just going to be the one coming forward nonstop, putting the pressure on, getting takedowns, looking for submissions, threatening submission attempts, and he'll score on the judges' scorecard. So I'm going to go Ronaldo Rodriguez by unanimous decision. We move on, though. David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. I can't lie. I don't really know these guys too well. David Martinez, I've watched his Dana White Contender Series. Simon Oliveira, I watched him get crumbled by, what's his name? Holy moly, man. Daniel Marcos. I watched him get crumbled by those knees by Daniel Marcos a couple years ago. That was kind of brutal. We haven't seen Simon Oliveira back since then. I think he had some sort of medical condition, something going on with the medical side of him. And David Martinez he's been on a tear. He's great at finishing fights by KO. He's very nasty. Boxing's crisp. Got a nice Dana White Contender Series decision. He looks clean on the feet. We just haven't been able to see too much of his ground game. Simon Oliveira is pretty good on the ground. He can take it down. He can look for submission attempts, but I do believe David Martinez will be able to stop those takedowns and be able to land the better shots on the feet. I do think David Martinez should finish this fight. I think he should finish Simon Oliveira, but we haven't seen Oliveira in a long time, so I'm not too sure how this one's going to play out. This is a very, I wouldn't put any money on this one, but I am going to go David Martinez by KO. I think he should get it done. Round 2. KO by David Martinez. He is very good on the feet. Simon Oliveira has showed some holes in his game. He's not very defensively sound. Doesn't really know how to throw back and deal an immense amount of damage. So I'm going to go David Martinez by KO in round 2. We move on, though. Raul Rosas Jr., the best fight on the card, boys. Raul Rosas Jr., Chihuihuis versus Vince Morales. No, I'm kidding, though. Why is Vince Morales back? 4-fight loss streak right now. He just lost to Elijah Smith only a month and a half ago, and he's back. I mean, they're just feeding this guy to the wolves every time. They're feeding him to Raul Rosas Jr. Rosas Jr. should win this fight, right? Everybody's saying, it could be close, but Rosas Jr. should win this fight. He is better on the ground. On the feet, it's going to be close. They're both very scrappy. Rosas got the height advantage and a little... He doesn't even have the reach advantage. What am I saying? But I do think once it goes to the ground, Rosas is a BJJ. His wrestling is much better than Vince Morales. Vince Morales is also much older. Raul Rosas Jr., very fresh in the game, but I think he's been very good. I mean, this guy's 5-1 in the UFC, 20 years old. The only dude he's lost to is Christian Rodriguez, which is not a bad loss, right? I mean, that's the prospect killer. I don't think his win streak is going to halt at Vince Morales, all right? I don't see that happening. I'm going to go Raul Rosas Jr. to find a finish. I think he's going to submit Vince Morales in round 2 or round 3 of this fight. Reasonably easy. I don't see him getting it done in round 1. Vince Morales he's very scrappy. This dude's very scrappy, and he does survive, but he was in a lot of danger in that Elijah Smith fight, and I think Raul Rosas Jr. can look for a submission attempt and find that chin on Vince Morales. So I'm going to go Raul Rosas Jr. by submission round 2 or 3. We move on, though, to the feature fight, Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. This is an interesting fight, all right? We got Kelvin Gastelum, never been knocked out before, versus Joe Body Bags Pyfer. This dude has absolute knockout power. This is going to be interesting, okay? Because a lot of people are thinking, Joe Pyfer's going to go out there, he's going to knock out Kelvin Gastelum easy, right? Easy. That's what the general mindset is, but I don't see that being the case. I do think Joe Pyfer has mentioned that in round 1, he's just going to come full force, empty the gas tank round 1, throw hands, but I don't see that being the case. His training partner is Sean Brady, who recently fought Leon Edwards and also fought Kelvin Gastelum not that long ago, a couple years ago, submitted Kelvin Gastelum with relative ease with the Kimura, right? We know that Kelvin Gastelum's issue is on the ground. And Joe Pyfer has very underrated wrestling, very good submissions on the ground. His arm triangle is brutal. He's got so much force when he puts a squeeze with the arm triangle. And I think that's what he's going to do in this fight. Not necessarily an arm triangle, but I think he will get it to the ground. He'll start cracking Kelvin early, get Kelvin to put his hands up, not see the takedown coming. Joe Pyfer shoots a double leg, gets Kelvin Gastelum down, and finds either a rear naked or an arm triangle or something on the ground, gets that submission in round 1 or round 2. I think Joe Pyfer will go for a submission. I mean, Sean Brady's his training partner. If they're smart, if they have a good game plan, the game plan is take Kelvin Gastelum down, submit him when he's not expecting it, when he's expecting power shots up top, right? Go for the takedown. That's the smart move to play. That's the best game plan that you can go for. So I'm going Joe Pyfer by round 1 or round 2 submission. That is his best path to victory because Kelvin Gastelum's chin is very underrated. This dude has never been knocked out, all right? His closest time to being knocked out was against Izzy. And Izzy was like, that was champ Izzy, all right? But we move on to the co-main event. This is a firefight. This is a firefight, back and forth, throwing hands. Manuel Torres, Drew Dober. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good scrap. I don't know which one. I've been going back and forth. In my quick picks, I chose Manuel Torres. This one's back and forth. I do think Manuel Torres will have the advantage age-wise, his durability-wise. Drew Dober's face has been brutalized so many times, and Manuel Torres has nasty elbows, nasty tools in his bag. I feel like he should be able to beat up Drew Dober on the feet and crack him in moments. I think he should have the more damaging shots in this fight, though. Drew Dober, he's been beat down before. Just got beat down by Jean Silva. Brutally. I think Manuel Torres can put that pressure on him. He can crack him, and he can break his face. I'm going to go Manuel Torres by KO in round 2. I think the first round they'll survive, but it'll be back and forth. And I think Manuel Torres will push the pace round 2, crack him with an elbow. Maybe he'll cut him in round 1, and then round 2 he'll just keep hitting that cut, and it'll just blood everywhere, kind of like the Jean Silva fight. But I'm going Manuel Torres, round 2, TKO, boys. We move on. Main event, Steve Erceg versus Brandon Moreno. The two, probably the most happiest face-off I've ever seen in my entire life. Both these guys were smiling. It looks so innocent, but this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a very good fight. I am going to go Brandon Moreno. I can't pick Steve Erceg. I think Steve Erceg, if you haven't seen my video yet, go check that one out. I think Steve Erceg is having a Dominic Reyes downfall right now, man. He just went from title contention to getting knocked out by Kai Kara-France to now fighting number 2 ranked Brandon Moreno. I mean, Dana White is feeding this dude to the wolves, okay? Are we trying to see Steve Erceg go from a 3-fight win streak to a 3-fight loss streak? Not really. But here he's fighting former champ and number 2 ranked Brandon Moreno, who's an absolute dog. We know Steve Erceg likes to have a nice, clean, crisp fight, on the feet. Nothing, where he gauges the range where he likes striking. But Brandon Moreno is a dog. This dude will bring it. He will make it uncomfortable for you. He will make it nasty for you. He did it against Figueiredo. He did it against Brandon Royval. He even did it against Pantoja. He almost beat Pantoja. He makes it dirty. And he just beat down on Amir Albazi brutally, cut his face open, was just styling on him the entirety of the fight. I think it was a 50-45. It was a pretty brutal beatdown. And I think he can do the same thing to Steve Erceg, just that Steve Erceg's chin is now questionable, and I think Brandon Moreno will finish him. I'm gonna go round 4, TKO for Brandon Moreno. Steve Erceg is closing the distance. Brandon Moreno overhand right, drops him down and is able to finish him on the ground. I don't trust Steve Erceg anymore. I don't. I really wish that they'd matched him up against Asu Almabayev or matched him up against somebody lower in the rankings. Now we might see Steve Erceg on a 3-fight losing streak, having a perfect, recapitulation of the Dominic Reyes career, man. It just sucks. But I'm going Brandon Moreno, 4th round TKO. We'll see what happens. I do hope that Steve Erceg doesn't get finished at least, but I do think he will. So I'm going to go Brandon Moreno, boys. If you guys did enjoy the video, though, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below what your guys' picks are and what your favorite dogs of this week are, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.